Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. We have our normal guest that is slightly rude but wanted to join us. And then she decided to leave. How rude. Hi, Lynn. How is everybody doing? What did you guys do this week? It has been a great time off. I've actually really enjoyed the little break, the reprieve. I feel recharged. I feel much better, honestly. But I want to catch up with you guys. What have you been doing? Where are you from today? And what is new? I'd love to catch up. Before I forget, a few announcements, and I will announce this a little bit later as well. We are getting towards the end of August and going to be starting our September challenge, except I've kind of rethought on this. Doing carnivore, ketovore, changing how we think about food, it already is a challenge. Why make things harder? So we're going to be doing Supportive September in our Locals channel. Come join us. I have already kind of started working on it, setting up daily thought tasks for us to follow to really help hone in on the why, the how, and the big one is how we got where we got and understanding that, because I found that is actually very important and is key. Hi, Noreen from England. What time is it there? Is it 12 hours? I'm real bad about time zones. Heather, Janet, Colette, Cordelia, good morning, all of you. Okay, remember, if you have questions, throw them in there. I will get to them and let us jump right in. Oh, last announcement that I probably will forget again. We are going to do another meetup on September, I'm looking at the date, 23rd. And it's going to be a fun one. We're going to meet, and I will put this on the website. I have not done that yet. We're going to meet at Lake Padden. We're going to do paddle boarding. We're going to do just some tubes to float in the lake. And then afterwards, Scott and I had a place here. It's barbecue. It's called Big Stick Barbecue. It is phenomenal. No sauce required, just meat. And I'm usually not a pulled pork kind of girl, but oh my goodness, it's delicious. So we're going to go there after we do a day of water sports. All right, let us jump right in. It's 5 p.m. there. Oh, it's 5. Hear me, my brain's trying to do math. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's 8 hours, right? 5, 6, 7, yep. Mesa. Hi, Joanne. I absolutely loved going to Mesa. I loved it more than Phoenix. The layout was better. Okay, we're gonna jump into questions. I got some. All right, Lloyd, what kind of butter do people use? He has some other questions, but we'll go one by one. I use the Costco unsalted butter. A lot of people like Kerrygold. I don't like Kerrygold, but that is Amanda. I don't actually care for grass-fed beef taste. That is like Amanda's opinion. It's just not my thing. Is there also something I can drink other than water? Depending on how strict you want to be. I drink 1 cup of coffee. It's actually sitting too far away from me. I drink 1 cup of coffee a day, sometimes none. I drink the seltzer water. I also drink tea, herbal tea, every once in a while. Those are the 3 things that I drink. I do not drink anything else. Water is vital to us, so really it should be the majority of what you drink anyways. Hi, Dutch Netherlands. That sounds amazing. All right. Admin Corner. Have you thought of some of these, you guys, I'm just going to read because I haven't pre-read any of these. Have you thought of having fresh juice from watermelon with Himalayan salt or pink salt added to that juice? Can of water. But okay. They're probably referring to I was having a flavored seltzer water. I've had quite a few comments on this, and take, leave it. These are all Amanda's opinions. It doesn't mean any of them are right or wrong. It just means it's mine. He said juice. The seltzer water I drink is not juice. It's got no sugar, no carbs, no artificial sweeteners. It does have Natural flavorings. We all know, at least I hope you do, and if you don't, learning lesson now. Natural flavors definitely are some form of chemical. You can't ingest something that has a flavor of watermelon but no sugar or carbs in it. Now, it's a trade-off. Am I willing to intake a little bit of that to not struggle with wanting apple juice? Yeah. But that's what I'm willing to trade off. If you're not, just drink pure water. Like, it's all about what's going to work for you. Okay? That is the big thing with this, is not nitpicking everybody and expecting everybody to do blanket the same thing. Sometimes we need bridge foods, I think is the best way to call it. Getting you from A to B, and then as you get better and you get stronger and you get more into it, then you can just start pulling those foods away versus nitpicking it from the go or even in the middle. All right, let's see. Twin Maples. That's a super duper cute name. Amanda, you are the kickoff for my wife to get us into carnivore back in March. Amazing. Are those maple trees in your picture, by the way? That's just like a fleeting thought of mine. That is awesome. Good morning, Jen. I saw your pictures. They were amazing. By the way, you look beautiful in all of them with Dr. Barry and everything and Miss Nisha. Peachy Pam. Question. I know you have coaching. Can you talk about that? So my coaching, I guess is the best way you can call it, is about creating a level of accountability, finding what works for you. And the big thing that I offer with what I do is accountability and being able to think through things. If you're stumbling, finding the root causes, and that's what I help you do. And, some people, we do better when we have a level of accountability that's external to ourselves. And sometimes, one, we don't have it, or we just don't have the right level with us. And that is what I offer, because let's be honest, between the carnivore way of eating or ketovore, whatever, or clean keto, that's what I call it, clean keto, the eating isn't it's not the difficult part. This is, again, Amanda's opinion. The eating isn't the difficult part. It is dealing with when you want to eat bad, when you are stress eating, when you're using food as a crutch, that emotional support. Those are the habits that are hard to break. Those are the habits that will stall us, that'll make us fall on our faces repeatedly, or, the whole yo-yo dieting thing. And that's pretty much what it is. And you can go from, just having a one-on-one visit once or twice a month to every week, to tons of support, to where you can text me throughout the day if you're having a hard time struggling, and you just kind of that is definitely what I can offer to help you along your journey. Let's see. Lynn, COVID found me last Tuesday, so I had a rough week. I'm sorry, Lynn. However, just really took good care. I actually used flavored element, and it was remnants of my mom giving me ginger ale. I don't do tons. We're talking 2, maximum 3 of the flavored element a week, because I do the raw unflavored mostly, but they are good at times. They really are. LMNT is it's an electrolyte mix. You can get it raw all the way to, they use stevia for some of the flavored ones if you want to do that. Hi, Sandra from Germany. I've always wanted to go to Germany. Actually, I've always wanted to travel. I've only been out of the country a handful of times, but my dream, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, all these. All right. Georgia. Question. I heard sprinting or HIIT programs may help with losing weight. Are you implementing this in your daily workout? Okay. There are nuances with this, and Amanda's opinion, but this is also coming from a perspective of physical therapy too. Okay. So I always say, take what I say with a grain of salt, take it, leave it, whatever. You cannot out exercise, and this is like a big thing. You cannot out exercise a bad bad diet. And when I mean diet, I don't mean like, oh, I'm eating this way for 3 months and I'm gonna go back to a different way. What I mean is your dietary intake, whether that's donuts every day or meat. You cannot out exercise it. And here's the issue with sprinting and HIIT programs. The HIIT, so the high intensity interval training, they are really good if you want to get fit. Like if you want to get real fit, ripped, buff, those are perfect for you. As far as sprinting and things like that, no, I am still 100 pounds overweight. Now, I guess you could do sprinting like pool sprints, which is different, but those cause a lot of cortisol levels. These high intensity, finger going the wrong way. These high intensity programs are not, and I strongly do not suggest them for people who have still a lot of weight to lose. It increases your appetite, so then you're having to fight constantly against not wanting to eat as much when you do this. Worry about losing the fat, worry about eating well. I walk, I do weightlifting. And then, I do paddleboarding, but these things, the walking, the paddleboarding, the hiking, I don't do them for weight loss. I do them for mental health. Yes. Does it help me lose weight? Of course. But that is not the reason I do it. And I strongly suggest finding things that incorporate movement that do not require the mentality of, I have to do this to lose weight. That leads to yo-yo dieting, because then you're not losing weight fast enough. And then you go into the mentality of, at least I did, well, if I just did a little more sprinting, or maybe if I went and jogged 3 more miles, I might lose an extra pound this week. It's not a race. I did not get 360 pounds overnight or even over a year. What is so wrong with going slow about losing weight? My weight makes me no less valuable as a human being. None of ours does. It doesn't diminish our value in the least being overweight. Does it make us less healthy? Of course it does. But whether I lose an extra pound this week or this month, stressing myself out over it, not worth it. Especially females. We can really mess our cycles up trying to force that. Hi, Tracy. I feel lucky. I don't seem to have any serious cravings. I approach cravings like when I quit smoking, 1 day at a time. Yeah. I did have an epiphany last night. I have all these like little mini epiphanies. I really should write them down more. What causes us to, like, if we have stumble or whatever, even with like looking back on the yo-yo dieting, why is it always so hard to get back on? And I realized yesterday it's because we always are battling the past. Let's say yesterday I ate 15 donuts. I did not, but let's say yesterday I ate 15 donuts and then today rolls around. Why is it so hard to choose a better decision today? Why? Because I feel like I'm having to compensate for yesterday. I have to do something today, whatever it is, dramatic, not eat, go exercise 50 hours, whatever it is. I feel like I'm having to constantly battle the past. And this is why, if any of you have stumbled recently, yesterday, last week, whatever, and I'm going to write these down. Stop thinking of the past. Think of today as new. I don't care if you ate 10,000 units of energy and they're still rolling in your system today. Think as starting new, completely brand new. Do not worry about yesterday. Don't worry about last week, last month, nothing. Start today, new, fresh, and stop battling the past. This is also talking to myself because I've not been perfect along this way. Our dinner last night was North Carolina, Lord. I'm assuming North Carolina. Shrimp and big eye tuna, all cooked in buttery and oil bay. That sounds not like my cup of tea. I do not like shrimp. I think your diet is amazingly helpful to me. I'm yet to get the duck eggs. Duck eggs, I hear, are amazing. I do. We know I don't like eggs, so I'm not the person to ask about that. Colette, do you do intermittent fasting at all? I only eat twice a day, so I do. I do not incorporate it any other way. I don't eat like one day and then not eat for a day or two. It is too hard on me, and it makes my life center back around food. And I do not like that because that is that obsessive part of my brain that's like, eat bad, eat bad, eat bad. And want that voice as quiet as humanly possible. And intermittent fasting, more than just, we eat at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and then I eat at 4 or 5, and then I don't eat any other time. So that's my intermittent fasting. If I push it to days, or like even going 48 hours, that voice just obsesses about food, and it is not helpful. And the other part is I'm, as much as I'd love to snap my fingers, I'm 140 pounds or whatever, it's not reality, and I care about sustainability more than anything at all. Cynthia, I didn't think I was losing weight. Then I looked up how much I weighed a year ago and found I actually lost 30 pounds in a year. Congrats. Sometimes weight loss doesn't reflect in the scale. I haven't used it yet, but I did get that new I think it's Oxaline is the brand scale that I ordered. You have to order it directly from them, not Amazon. They have only off brands, but it does like the plus or minus 3% accuracy to like a DEXA scan. It doesn't do a DEXA scan, but it does the body measurements. I'm excited to use it later this week. Christopher, and on sprinting, my suggestion is to work your way up to it. Start with mobility first and then eventually sprinting. Yeah, I mean, if you are like, this is my wheelhouse, right? Sprinting, Sean Baker kind of strengthening, not my wheelhouse. That's not what you do in physical therapy. I am not working with people trying to get buff unless they've injured their knee, arm, shoulder, something. I work on the other end of the spectrum, and this is why I know this very well. It is very tempting, and a lot of times you'll have bodybuilders, if you get a personal trainer, they will give you exercises and push you because they're trying to, stimulate your metabolism for you to lose weight. That is not the way to go about it. And part of it is, I realized too, one of the ladies we were talking, she had listened to some video on YouTube that it was a physical therapist talking with someone else. And he's like, the number one most important thing for people trying to lose weight, strength training. And I said, actually, that's not true. Strength training is number 2. The number one thing is walking. And we started kind of discussing it and talking about it. And it's like, well, why do our opinions differ? Well, our opinions differ because this gentleman has never been overweight, he's never been obese, and he's never been physically limited in his ability to move around. Walking is like breathing to him. Walking is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves when we were overweight, then get to strength training. Strength training is important for the joints, for strengthening our ligaments, our tendons, bone mass, especially my ladies that are postmenopausal. Very good for bone density and things like this. And it is very important. Walking is number 1. All right. Here we go. Scroll down. Sorry, like this is like a really hot spot for me. Like people suggesting heavy exercise for people who are overweight. And I'm talking about like if you're like 50, 60 pounds overweight, then second question, getting confused. I have no idea what SOM is. Acronyms are not my thing, y'all. Unless they're medical acronyms, they go over my head. Kathy, how long to get into ketosis after eating carbs? You mean to get back into ketosis after you've eaten carbs? The answer is it depends on your body. If you are insulin sensitive, it can be pretty quick, within a couple days. If you are insulin resistant, it can be a couple weeks to truly get back there. Most of the time, 3 to 5 days if you are not super insulin resistant, somewhere in there. If you're super duper curious, you can use, mine's not up here, you can get like a little, I think Keto Mojo or little ketone blood monitor. They do work better than the pea sticks, but heck, you can use the pea sticks too. And as winter, I got the scale and started using it. It's awesome. I did stick Scott on it, and it is actually really awesome. It even tells you, I don't know how accurate it is, but it tells you how many pounds of visceral fat you have on your body, which I thought was interesting. Have you tried the Crunchy Bits recipe from Michaela? I made them last week, so crunchy, so good. Making another batch right now. Is that the Sorry, my brain's not working. Is that the same thing as when you render the tallow down and then you get the little crunchy bits at the end? I haven't specifically tried it from her. But then again, I'm all about easy. The easier the recipe, the better. Let's see, doing too mad. Have you occasionally tried OMAD? I was too mad for 5 work days and OMAD the other 2. I felt better on OMAD. My body gravitated OMAD. I did OMAD for months, and I actually do better on 2 meals a day instead of OMAD. I do much better on 2 MAD, but everybody a little different. And as I said, I did months of 1 meal a day, months. And then I went back to 2 meals a day. Lynn, I used to walk 5 to 6 miles, injured a disc in back. Now after 3 miles, I'm in pain. Is there a workaround? Stop, lay down, hamstring stretch. It depends, Lynn, on your injury. Do you have a ruptured disc? Do you have a bulging disc? Is it the actual disc? Could it be that your spine is out of alignment? Because what will happen is the vertebrae sometimes can torque sideways, which causes an instability and pain. If you know exactly what's going on, if it's ruptured or bulging disc, then you need to work on, what are their names? Bob and something. I always forget the Bob. Whatever, the physical therapist dudes, they make tons of PT videos. They actually have some really good strengthening, but more stability ones for back injuries that you can look. Bob and Brad. There we go. Sandy, thank you. Don't worry about being late. What scale? It's called Oxline, Oxiline. You can only get it from their website. Just type that into Google and it'll pop you right over there. I did a ton of research before because the scale I had is a real old scale that only does weight, nothing else. Debbie, I need to walk with a cane, but when I do, I get a stress knot in my upper right shoulder, which causes a lot of pain. Any suggestions to be able to walk more? Is your cane adjusted properly? This is a big thing. If you are using a cane and you are using it improperly, or it's not adjusted to the right height. My assumption is your cane is either too high or too low, and you want to make sure the cane is in the opposite hand of the injured side. So like if your right knee hurts, the cane goes in your left hand. If your left leg hurts, your cane goes in your right hand. It is opposite of what we want to do, but if you're walking with it on the wrong side, your gait pattern will be abnormal and it can cause pain. However, because it's the shoulder, it tells me your cane is probably not adjusted properly. There are tons of videos on how to do it, but the best way is you stand up, put the cane at your side, and your hand straight down by your side. The cane handle should hit right here on the wrist, okay? If it's too high or too low, you want just a 30-degree bend in your elbow when you are holding the cane. So start there. Let me know if that works because it's a big pet peeve and I have to stop myself from running up to people, but people all the time use canes improperly because they haven't been taught or don't know better, or they're maladjusted and it messes with our gait pattern. Our gait pattern is just how we walk. It is a very set thing that we've learned from the time we were a kid of how our body functions and goes through it. So start there, Debbie, and then let me know how that goes. Judy, I just wish I could just walk, but it's boring to me. How do you motivate yourself to get started? I love outside, but a good one, if you find it boring, take some headphones, find an audiobook, a podcast, music, something that you enjoy, and make it where I have to walk to listen to this. I love fantasy books, okay? Excuse me. I love fantasy books. I do find myself, because there's an audiobook. I love reading. I actually prefer paper books, honestly. I don't like electronic books. They kill my head and eyeballs. I ordered and I'm excited to get it this week. I ordered a walking treadmill that's going to go at my computer desk. And so now to listen to my audiobook, I have to walk on the treadmill because I don't like going out on the trail very frequently walking with headphones. I do with my bicycle, but that's a different story. because I can run people over, not purposely. I really should stop talking at this point. Try those. Try finding something like that that motivates you. And you probably hear you drinking in the background. Carol, question. When you get the new scale, can you please give a dimension on it? Yes, I shall. I shall. Thank you, Betsy. I always get Bob, but I always forget Brad. Fractured disc by accident, trapped nerve. You can do some stability and you can also do some mobility exercises depending if your fractured disc has healed some and it is stable. Personally, what I think you should do is you should find a spine therapist in your area, because little do people realize physical therapists there's a ton of different specialties within the field that they can do. Find somebody that's a spine therapist that can work with you, because they will be able to very specifically address what muscles are either too tight or too weak or not as stable as they need to be to get you your resolve. And they'll be able to create a very unique exercise, home exercise plan that will help you. Okay. That is my best suggestion for you. Not a chiropractor, an actual physical therapist. Not that I'm against chiropractors. They are great for adjustments. Nobody asked this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Chiropractors are wonderful for getting adjustments and getting things in alignment, but it's an evil trap, because if your spine gets aligned, but your muscles you have muscle instability, you have tightness, you have different things, your spine just goes back to where it was. And it's this trap of you have to keep seeing them perpetually forever, because the original issue never gets addressed. So this is where physical therapy comes in. I'm a little biased about this, okay? I'll wholeheartedly admit I'm a bit biased about it, but if you really want to address the issues, the two of them together are great. Or if you find a spine physical therapist, they can actually do a lot of the adjustments that chiros do in a slightly different way. Let's see. Waiting eagerly see you in the version you want to become. All the best. Thank you. And you know what? Maybe I don't weigh 140 pounds, but I'm definitely well on the way of being the version of myself that I want to be. Hair loss in carnivore. Sue's losing more hair than she used to. It is not abnormal to have hair loss, specifically in the beginning, especially if the rapid diet change, stress. I lost hair for 5 or 6 months, and then it finally stopped falling out in gobs. And now my hair honestly doesn't fall out hardly at all. So it's not something I'd be too stressed about right now. Just got my walking treadmill. I'm excited to try it because, there's things I want to do on the computer, but because I do have bulging discs in my low back and I still have weight to lose, like it's 1,000% better than it was, but I can't sit for too long because it actually causes back pain for me, no matter what kind of chair I get. But how long did it take for your aches and pains to go away? Well, I had different types of aches and pains. We had the weight-related aches and pains, the weight-related severe back pain, the pain from the autoimmune, the pain from the inflammation from the food. Overall, a majority of my pain was gone within a few months. The autoimmune, as long as I don't eat something off carnivore, it stays away. Let's see. The low back pain, because I had severe low back pain, and a lot of it is solely because the way when we have lesson time, 1,000 times from Amanda. So we have our cervical spine up here, then we have our thoracic, and then we have our lumbar spine down at the bottom. And we all have this slight curve. I'm going the wrong way on the camera. We have a slight curve, slightly like a C in our low back. It's called our lordotic curve. And what happens is when you have, if you've been a pregnant woman, you've experienced this later on in your pregnancy, when you have a lot of abdominal weight, the weight pulls forward and that curve should be curved slightly, but then as the weight pulls more, it curves it even more, and it puts a lot of pressure on the vertebrae in here, which then squishes discs, which makes your back hurt. So if you're overweight and your back hurts, doesn't mean there's something always wrong, but it does mean that the stomach weight makes it much more painful. That went away, let's see, 6 weeks still having pain, 8 weeks having pain, much less. Somewhere between 2 and 4 months. I'd have to go back, honestly, and watch my own videos to see exactly when it disappeared. But, it will. Sometimes it's slower than others, but it will if you just keep trekking along. Okay, more questions. Whoops. There we go. BMVC9RY. That's a name. Question I have is, where do you guys get your meat from? Because if one is going to become a carnivore, buying meats from your grocery store is going to ruin you. It's actually not going to ruin you. Yes, there are definitely better quality meats, but anything better than eating a standard American diet. We get our meat from Costco. Yes, I would love to eventually be able to afford to just buy an entire cow from a farm that way, and that is our aim. I'm hoping by next year we'll be able to afford that, but do what you can. If you have to buy bologna and hot dogs and ground beef right now, and that's where you're starting at, start there. Is it most ideal? No. But is it a heck of a lot better than where you were at? Yes. And that's the thing is, guys, don't ever, and it's hard, let people shame you for where you're at. Whether it's your weight, whether it's your financial situation, whether you can't afford to buy filet mignon and eat it every day. There are many people with many opinions. And the only opinion that truly matters is yours, God's, and your spouse's. Okay, well, family. That is what truly matters. Take what people say, including what I say, with a grain of salt. Take what you can get from it and leave the rest. I will wholeheartedly admit all the time, I'm not always right in any way, shape, or form. I'm not perfect in any way either. I make mistakes. We all do. But the big thing is you know what you can do, what you can't do, what you can afford. Do not avoid doing something like carnivore, ketovore, because you think it's too expensive because you have to buy what does Dr. Berry said, the panda massaged Wagyu beef just to be healthy. You don't. You absolutely do not. Would you please go through an update list of non-scale victories? I keep finding all sorts of interesting positive changes that other carnivores mention. Boy, my non-scale victory journal is over there. The big things recently I've noticed is it used to be my minimum walking was a few hundred feet. No matter what I've done, no matter how active I've been. The other day, this is actually one. The other day, I got on, as Scott says, my little cleaning jihad. I went outside and I pulled all the weeds on one side of the house. And then there was some weeds in the driveway, like in the cracks between the cement. I got a straight blade screwdriver out and was on my hands and knees with screwdriver, like getting them weeds out. And then I decided there were some front like bricks of this it's like a little barrier with stone and stuff for our front yard that was kind of falling. So I had Scott move them all and we dug them up, leveled them out. And then I noticed, like, this is all on the same day, by the way. Well, this is the same period. Then I noticed there were some weeds growing in the cracks of the sidewalk in front of our house. So then I got the screwdriver out at that. And then I noticed there was some weeds growing around the grate, the sewer drain, not sewer, but the rainwater drain right in front of our house. And the poor people who come to pick up the recycling, the dude was probably wondering what in the world I was doing. Because here I am, like, in the, not driveway, Lord. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. I was in the road with a screwdriver, literally on my hands and knees again, digging out plants. That is a huge non-scale victory. The fact that I could get on my hands and knees, and I was out there for 5.5 hours doing this. 5.5 hours. When I started this, I could barely walk a couple houses. These are the non-scale victories. Like, I just can't even explain it. Being to be out there and to do what I wanted to do and not be physically limited. That I think those are the biggest non-scale victories. Plus, as I was saying before, my bare minimum, without blinking, without straining, walking a mile. Like, easy peasy, lemon squeezy for me. And as I just said, I struggled, and I mean struggled, to walk a couple houses out front with a walker. Those are the non-scale victories to focus on. Every time that I look back and it's like, I think I should be further, or I just have to say, Amanda, shut up. Shut the voice up. Because here's the thing. Yeah, people will set expectations on me that I should weigh less or X, Y, Z. But one, those are other people's expectations, as well as I have to remove my own. But two, I started off not leaving the house for 3 months at a time. It has been almost 14 months since I started this journey. And I was outside for 5.5 hours nonstop with a screwdriver, getting up and down on my hands and knees. Huge difference. Those are the non-scale victories. Gotten on my soapbox like 50 times today. Georgia, are you strictly beef only, or do you include seafood and chicken? I do mostly beef just because I like it. I do chicken wings about once a week because that is like my favorite, like, palate cleansing meal. I do like seafood. Scott and I actually made lobster for the first time a month ago, something like that. It's just real expensive. I don't really like fish, and I despise shrimp. Eat seafood if you like it. Do it. There are better options. You really want to do wild caught, not the farm raised. It is cheaper for farm raised, but they are not very good for us. Dawn, I have 3 herniated discs and 1 deteriorating disc in low back. Bone on bone, left knee, hip dysplasia, both hips. It's very difficult to walk any distance. I'm carnivore 2 months. Dawn, the best thing that you could do for yourself is get to a pool, like the YMCA, anything like that. It will be your best friend, and it will help immensely as you get more active, getting the weight off the joints, but you're getting the water resistance, and you're getting the hydrostatic pressure of being in the water while you do it. For any of you that are morbidly obese, have a lot of knee pain, back pain, like lower extremity pain, even shoulder pain, the pool's great for. Get to a pool. Walking in the pool, like with water up to your waist, walking the pool, wonderful exercise. You will feel the tiredness, but you will not feel the joint pain like you would just straight up forcing yourself to go out and walk. So if you can, a pool is your best friend. Debbie, what kind of bicycle do you have? Someone asked me this the other day, and I swear I keep forgetting. I'll ask Scott. I have a 7-speed beach cruiser type without gears. What kind do you prefer? So I normally buy Walmart bikes because that's all we could afford. When we started bicycling, we did splurge, and it was expensive. Can you look at the name of our bicycles, please? They are a cruiser bike / mountain bike. The brand will come to me probably afterwards, but Scott's going to look for me. It is 12 speed, I think. And what I like most about it is the way you sit on it. You sit up a little bit more, because I've ridden road bikes when I was skinnier. And when I went to the University of Minnesota, I rode bike all the time. Road bikes are very harsh on the wrists. This one, Scott sent me a check mark. How nerdy of him. This one is lovely. Plus, it has disc brakes. If you're going to buy a bicycle, and this is what I found, every time I buy a Walmart bicycle, I end up having to replace it. Stuff breaks, things rust real quick, and the bike stops functioning. That is the one thing about buying a nicer bicycle is this bicycle, everything can be replaced, the different parts and stuff, and it will literally last me forever unless I really crash it, which I don't go that fast to crash it. Or if I get hit by a car, but most likely not. These are the fleeting thoughts that go through Amanda's brain sometimes. Scott's downstairs. He's going to look for us, and I'll let you know, Debbie. David Brinkley. Everyone is entitled to my opinion. Everyone is entitled to my opinion and then able to dump it out the window. It's wholeheartedly as they can do. What's the name of it?
The manufacturer is Marin, M-A-R-I-N.
M-A-R-I-N. Do you remember did it say the model?
It's a Larkspur.
Larkspur.
Two.
Like, okay. I threw that in the comment area for you to look at. We got it from a bike shop.
Earl's Bike Shop.
Oh, if you are in the Bellingham, Washington area, Earl's Bike Shop. I actually really appreciated that bike shop. They have been amazing. Ooh, my nose is itching today. Weed destruction. Yeah. I don't like using the weed killers and stuff. It's not good for the environment. It's not good when you got dogs, especially one over here that likes to try to eat weeds. Don't like it. Plus, it gives me something to do. Scott said I should take my screwdriver and start being a good neighbor when I got bored and go clean everybody else's. And I said, no, thank you. Ketosis, isn't your birthday coming up? Yes, on the 13th of September is my birthday. I've already made plans. Scott and I talked about it today. We are going to go to Poirier on the river. If you, again, are in the Washington area, Mount Vernon, Washington. I usually do not like steaks at restaurants because they're overcooked or they don't taste very good. I'm going to be honest. Scott is an amazing steak maker, so I guess that makes it worse. But they have a phenomenal steak, and I will be cheating and having collard greens because I love collard greens with bacon. That will be my birthday meal, collard greens and steak. The pool is fun. Yeah. And it's still warm enough here, but go to the lake. Honestly, okay, best option, go to a lake, get outside, get some sun and do it. Second option, pool. You'll feel so free frolicking. Yeah. Pools are really the best. Really the best. I came to my senses a couple weeks ago when I fell and could not get up to save my life. I hit my head and hurt my right wrist. Had to have paramedics come and help me up. I'm sorry, Colette. I hope you are doing better, first off. And sometimes we do. We need like those moments in life that are pivotal. Mine was going to the hospital thinking I was dying. Sometimes that is the wake-up call is we've slowly made choices year after year, day after day. And then it's not until something literally smacks us in our face that we realize, okay, it's gotten this bad. It's gotten this bad that we have to make decisions to change. Dawn, IBS triggered. Any ideas how to calm this down? What triggered your IBS? Have you eaten something that you shouldn't have? That I probably need to know first before we can make any answers. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for coming. Mary, I love riding a bike, but my hands always fall asleep. Then I get painful pins and needles. Take small bites into the bike riding as your arms and wrists get stronger. you will actually have, it just sounds like you're having some carpal tunnel, some acute carpal tunnel from it getting compressed in here. Don't go too far too fast and your body will adapt, and the pins and needles should be better. Secondly, if you get a cruiser type bike where your butt is slightly lower than the handles, there won't be so much pressure on your hands. Okay, that is part of what's causing it. And a road bike is the absolute worst posture for someone who has wrist, shoulder, or hand pain or any neuropathy in their hands because of the amount of pressure that you're putting on your arms when you road bike. And plus, road bike seats make you feel like someone kicked you in the groin real easy. Not that anybody didn't know that, but they do. Hi, Shirley. Did you lower your blood pressure on carnivore? Yeah, but I never really had high. I mean, I had barely high blood pressure. When I started, my blood pressure was like 130/80, which is slightly elevated. No blood pressure medication, none of that. And it's just come back to what it normally is I tend to be on the lower end of blood pressure, and it's just my baseline. So I'm like 110/60, 105/60, and it's back to where it's at. But speaking of blood pressure, I went Friday with one of the ladies that has been coming to our meetups. She actually met with my cardiologist and she asked me to go with her. So she drove up from the Seattle area and her and I went and so she could see my cardiologist so he could be her doctor. And it was lovely. Here's the thing about blood pressure for any of you. If you are still eating carbohydrates and you are eating a lot of salt, you are going to have high blood pressure. If you stop eating the carbohydrates, your body will let go of that extra fluid retention. Your blood pressure will come down. It's literally simple as that. Now, I did learn some stuff Friday. There are drugs, obviously none that I've taken, that are for pain and arthritis and stuff that can cause fluid retention. Like the drugs themselves. I mean, I know there's drugs that cause fluid retention, but there are drugs for pain management, like not opioid based, that can cause a lot of fluid retention, which will give you artificial elevated blood pressure. I say artificial because the drugs are making it go up, not your body not function quite properly. Okay. And in her case, she's on 3 blood pressure medications and then this pain medicine. No pain medicine, less blood pressure. And my doctor, my cardiologist, is actually working with her on, as she does carnivore, ketovore, titrating down her blood pressure to hopefully where she doesn't have to take any. Hopefully. Hello, minimalist. Half listening to catch up on stuff. That's the way to do it. Multitask. Dawn, gators in the lakes. Yeah, I would not do that. I don't know if it's that irrational, but every time I've gone to Florida, I do worry about one, getting eaten by a shark in the ocean or jellyfish, stung by a jellyfish into the gators. I know that veggies are off the list. Any studies on making stock with veggies? Meat, seafood, scraps along with veggies is traditional ingredient making stock for many recipes. So here's the thing. You have to figure out if you're going to do well with any of them. There are people who do fine with asparagus but can't have broccoli. And it's all about figuring out what works for you. The big reason I don't do vegetables is because the oxalates and the inflammation from the autoimmune. There are people who do great and do fine with some light vegetables, or heck, there's some keto people who do great with a lot of them. It's figuring out what works for you. I'm not sure about like how oxalates work because if you're making stock, you're obviously boiling it. I have no idea if I've ever seen anybody discuss that or if the oxalates can be pulled out of the vegetable. I don't know, but that would actually be very, very interesting to know because stock does taste amazing when you've like put an onion, even if you strain the chunks out, an onion, carrots, and celery and stuff in it. Too fatty corned beef Thursday night triggered my IBS. You could take over-the-counter medicine if you're having like diarrhea. Other than that, I hate to say, it is going to be waiting it out and being as good as you can about not eating something too fatty for yourself to stimulate the gut. Vinegar is a great weed killer. I did not know that. I wonder if I could use that iodized salt I have as a weed killer. That would be very interesting. Six month difference, 196 to 130 down to 110 over 80. It's a huge difference. A big reason is what weight loss is a factor, right? But also getting the inflammation out of the body. The sugar, the carbs causing inflammation, all of that, just it stresses the body out. I led shark dives for years, dove daily with them, no worries, but lakes kind of freak me out since I'm not used to fresh water. There's a few things in life that I have these irrational fears, and one is being bitten by a shark. Although, funny enough, because people use drones pretty regularly now, they're finding with drone footage, sharks are around people a lot more than what they suspected around the beaches. That humans aren't preys. My words. Humans aren't like a main prey for sharks, that they're just not along the food chain. Makes you wonder. Joanne, how long did you live in Arizona? Leslie, we lived there about 6 years, 7 years maybe. I was finishing school at University of Minnesota. I've lived everywhere. Let's go through Amanda's last story. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, left there when I was 16, lived in Southwest Virginia until I was 22-ish, went to Minnesota, finished there. I went there and then lived in Arizona 6 or 7 years, and we've been in Washington State for coming up on 3 years, I think. Scott was stationed in Bremerton, Washington in the Navy. I love green. I do not love the desert. And when we were in Phoenix, I never went outside. I never went outside. And since we've been here, it was the best choice we could have ever made because I love hiking and biking and being outside. And that was the big reason, as Scott knew I needed a change. And because when we moved up here, I was 360 pounds. Like, I needed a change. And the desert was not it. I'll try to raise the handlebars. Yeah, if you have a bike that the handlebars can go up, that would be good. That would be perfect. I replaced, despite not having a road bike seat on this bike, I did get the women's wider seat for it. Dharma said, yes, oxalates get into the water. So I think if you're going to try to make stock with it, you're just going to have to see if it bothers you. Do you think you will eventually add any fruit, etc.? What's your thought on being ketosis all the time? Eventually, I will, but this is the caveat. It'll be treated like a rare treat if I can get to the point where I don't eat 3 pints at once. And that's the thing, is it's going to be based on how I feel from it, how I tolerate it. If, let's say, I eat the fruit, like I eat half a pint of, because raspberries are my favorite. I eat half a pint of raspberries and then I feel like death afterwards. Then it's not something I'm going to be able to incorporate right now. No, because I want no sugar, none of that in my system. It's unnecessary. And it's still, at this point in my journey, the sugar is just, I haven't gotten control, and I don't know if I ever will. I'm not saying I won't, but it's just not necessary in my diet right now, especially, for those of you trying to lose weight. It's unnecessary. And why? I'm not a moderator. Thoughts of being in ketosis all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. And the thing is actually, we don't just stay here in ketosis. We actually have ups and downs because our body produces its own glucose through the liver. So it's not like we're in deep ketosis all the time. our body oscillates depending. Some people are, but that's more rare than not. I still have some fermented stuff, but I haven't made stock using veggies in a minute. I think the last time I used mushrooms, I didn't have any issues with them. Yeah, everybody's a little different on what they can do and not do, and, you know. Vinegar, Epsom salt, squirted dish soap is what I use. Works great. Someone told me, or was that with cayenne with, I was it cayenne? Yeah, I think I was using cayenne, Dawn, and a couple other things. You spray it on your like garden or your flowers and stuff. That's what I should do. My Gerber daisies keep getting eaten by the deer. Wonder if I can do that to get them to stop eating my dang Gerber daisies. Don't know what that would do to them, but anybody have ideas as to how to keep deer from eating my flowers? I did put some mesh stuff up, but it makes them not so pretty. According to Google, boiled vegetables cause 30 to 87% loss of oxalates. There's our answer. I also have shark aversion. I don't want to be eaten by a shark. Too many. One person getting bit and telling me their story is too many. Too many for Amanda. I'm just happy to know I'm not the only walk weed digger. I got at it. It was actually very enjoyable. Even because still to this day, just because I still have the autoimmune, but it's not flared up. I was using, not needle. I couldn't find the needle nose pliers. I was using a small pipe wrench. I was using it to like pull the really stubborn ones that wouldn't come out because I don't have really good pinch grip in my fingers to pull the weeds out of the sidewalk cracks. Okay. Question. Why do you put iodine in your coffee? I think I answer this every live, which is funny. I put iodine in my coffee because each cell in our body requires iodine, and your thyroid, mostly known thyroid needs iodine. And I do not eat a lot of seafood, and I do not use iodized salt, which actually I'd like to clarify because someone made a comment. Iodized salt is not banned in the EU because that's what they said. That's not what I said. The anti-caking agents that are used in America in iodized salt, a handful of them have been banned in Europe because of the chemicals, not the iodized salt itself. So I want to clarify that. Also, if you have iodized salt, please go throw it away or use it if you are in an area with snow for salting thingies to melt salting sidewalks to melt the snow. They're literally the anti-caking agents have been banned. A good handful of them. Google it. It's not just me. In Europe, it takes a lot to ban things. Actually, quite a few things. I was doing some research. Aspartame has been banned in Europe because they've actually proven it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So please don't drink aspartame either. It's not good for you. Use something else, anything else. Hopefully no sugar. Feeding the deer. Deer don't like lavender. Interesting. I wonder if I can put some lavender out there. Huh. That's crazy. Yeah, we have oodles of deer, which Lynn, you probably know, but we have so many deer. So many deer. It's just ridiculous. Sprinkle the tiny pansy seeds in wheat cracks and next year just to see how sweet they are. I actually took the water hose and rinsed all the dirt out of the cracks so stuff would stop building up. I use iodized salt in my in my bug assault gun fly shooter. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds quite funny. Let's see. I'm trying to weed through because some of these these questions are something about a vegan never being sick and eating vegan something. I don't know. So only meaning no sides, no rice, no potatoes, no nothing, just meat. Yes, that literally is what carnivore is. Do you use any vitamins? I do. I use a multivitamin by, I think it's Country Life. It's the women's. Did you have your meat? Do you eat your meat medium rare, or how well do you cook it? What's your guys' opinion? I do medium rare. I don't like, is it blue, like blue steak? I don't like that rare by any means. I like medium rare. That is my favorite. Deer an issue. Yeah. You cannot shoot these deer, sadly, in town, and we are overrun. Plus, I don't really like deer. I've tried it a few times, but not my favorite. Medium rare. Yeah, that's my favorite. Oh, love blue. It's a texture. I realized today it's a texture thing for me. The blue is just too chewy. Like, it's just too chewy for me. But I don't like medium, and I don't like well at all. It's like charbroiled. It tastes so different when I've had an overcooked steak. Blech. No bueno. Let's see. What about saturated fat? My husband's scan showed very hardened arteries, and he was only carnivore for years. He had to have open heart surgery. So this is actually something I've seen a handful of times. People concerned about having to have heart surgery, and they've done carnivore for a period of time. And this is actually, if you haven't watched my cardiology visit video that my doctor and I talk about, is it takes a long, and we're talking more than just a year or two or a couple years, a long time for the plaque in the arteries to go from soft to hard. It's a staged system. We're talking decades. And so in this person's comment, what about saturated fat? Well, the diet that he was eating prior to carnivore is what caused that, not carnivore itself, because it takes a very long time to get there, to go from soft plaque to hard plaque. And that's why even someone in their 30s or 40s can actually have a buildup of soft plaque. You won't see it on the coronary calcium scans. You'd have to do a different test for that. But someone in their 50s, 60s, 70s and stuff, you will start seeing hard plaque then. So we talk in decades. Decades. Is it better to take the heavy cream out of my coffee? If you are eating too much, and there's so many things. There's so many things with that. Scott has finally, it is the 27th of August, has agreed that at least liquid dairy does make him clear his throat constantly. And he, love his heart, has been willing to give up liquid dairy. Once the end of the month rolls around, we're going to try intermittent hard cheese here and there and see if he can tolerate it then. But praise the Lord, I do not have to listen to him for hours clearing his throat every single morning and throughout the day of just listening to him clear his throat. Plus, I bet speech therapists would be horrified because the throat clearing is actually hard on, or I guess more singing coaches. Not that Scott sings, but it's really hard on the vocal cords clearing your throat the way Scott does. All right, 2 more questions. Y'all, if you have any more, check them in. I'm going to do 2 more. What about fiber? I thought we needed or had to have some carbohydrates for a balanced diet. Logic trap. Fiber is indigestible, right? It's like eating a crayon. That would be please don't eat a crayon, but That's indigestible. Indigestible. Can't get words out today. Why do we need something that we can't actually digest? It's like a logic trap that I don't know how they sold fiber, the idea of fiber, but they did. If you cannot digest it and get nutrients out of it, what is it doing other than just being a squeegee scrubby going through your intestines, pulling nutrients out that you could have digested? You know? Plus, our intestines, they're a tube. There's an entry and there's an exit. As long as you are drinking enough water and eating enough fat, everything comes out. It doesn't just sit in there. Because the funniest joke I ever heard, well, they didn't think it was a joke, but I laughed, was they said, didn't you realize when you eat red meat, it stays in your digestion system for like 5 or 6 years? I'm like, buddy, where do you think that meat hides? It's a circle, or it's a cylindrical tube. Where in the world do you think that red meat is hiding in my tube that is my intestines? Like, sometimes some people say stuff and I just absolutely laugh. Because if you thought about it, it's like, which, I mean, maybe these people don't fundamentally understand physiology or anatomy in the sense of there is nowhere for it to hide. So, anyways, I appreciate you guys so very much. Thank you for joining me today. I am back this week. I am working on trying to figure out what days I'm going to set for my videos. I think Scott and I landed on doing 3 a week just to help with stress and so I can get other things done in life as well. I appreciate you guys so dang much. I really do, because not only are you supporting me, but other people that, because I haven't done the comments this week, but looking through the comments and helping support other people that are struggling or, rejoicing in their journey with them and their non-scale victories. So I appreciate that a lot, because it is hard sometimes being solo, not that I am, but other people are, being solo on a journey and not having cheerleaders behind you. So you guys are the cheerleaders for yourselves and others, and I appreciate that. I will be back again next Sunday at 9 o'clock. Don't forget, because I keep forgetting this, re-announcement, because we're at the end of this. We're going to, this September, do Supportive September in Locals. It is going to be about consistency in eating, but also we're going to be doing kind of daily thought tasks on how to make things better, like how to figure out our whys, how we get around when we stumble, how we get back up, those kinds of things, how we pull ourselves out of the depression. We'll be doing that daily in Locals. Come join us. Have a really good weekend. Scott and I'm going to drag him paddle boarding again today because it's supposed to be really warm. I appreciate you guys and have a very good Sunday. Bye.